Combat sports can be a very lucrative industry, and when it's successful, the fighters aren't the only ones who profit. Promoters, organizations, agents, and all manner of industries adjacent to the fighting can often benefit handsomely from the blood and sweat of the fighters. For a prime example of this, you need look no further than longtime UFC president Dana White. Dana White has overseen the operations of the UFC and been the public face of the organization since 2001, when it was just a small, struggling company acquired by Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta. Since then, White has turned what was an unknown brand into a thriving business and a worldwide household name. White's been credited with bringing MMA to the public consciousness, raising the status of the discipline to new heights, and making or breaking the careers of true combat legends. Along the way, as you might imagine, Dana White has become incredibly wealthy. Though he's the first to say that the money isn't why he does what he does, it can't be denied that he's made his millions, and used them too. Like, share, and subscribe to the Ultimate Fighting Network as we find out how UFC President Dana White spends his millions. In his professional life, Dana White came from relatively humble beginnings, working as a hotel valet before quitting to get into the fight business. From there, he worked his way through multiple angles of combat sports, from being a boxer to training fighters, as well as managing, refereeing, and running gyms. Thanks to a brief run-in with the Boston Mob, White moved to Las Vegas. The rest is MMA history in the making. White became the president of the UFC in 2001 when it changed ownership, and back then the company was in shambles. All that was left of the organization was the brand name and an old, tired octagon. But White saw big possibilities in the struggling company, and over the next several years he put all of his energy into making the UFC not only popular, but extremely lucrative. Dana White is famously private about many of his inner workings and personal life, but some numbers are available regarding the amount of money he makes from running the UFC. In 2001, the struggling UFC was purchased for $2 million, but after White had grown it beyond all proportion, by 2016 the company was sold to WME, retaining White's presidency as well as a 9% stake for a whopping $4 billion. White reportedly made a cool $360 mil off that deal.
I sold.
So now you have $360 million plus whatever you had before that, correct?
I got a couple bucks. Yeah.
Does it all come at once, or are there installments? Does it come? Is there a giant novelty check that you're presented with, like Ed McMahon used to?
So what they do is, when you do a deal like this, it has to go through a bunch of regulation.
Yeah.
And once all the regulation is done and the thing finally closes, I guess you just get a check. Yeah, wow. I guess that's how it works.
Since the UFC changed hands, White's salary is estimated at $20 million per year. He also makes millions off of investments in the company. And thanks to the recent involvement of ESPN, millions more pay-per-view buys bring in vast amounts of money for each fight. It's hard to get a precise current number, but online estimates place Dana White's net worth in the neighborhood of $500 million, though it's likely only increasing and may have increased since this estimate was made. Thanks for watching this far. Please help support us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We appreciate you. While private about his personal life, there's plenty of information out there about White's spending. Dana White and his family live in Las Vegas, Nevada, which serves as the headquarters for the UFC. In 2017, after the big change in UFC ownership, and a big payday for him, White purchased 3 large Las Vegas properties right next to each other, a combined cost of roughly $7 million, and then bulldozed them all to the ground to build one large mansion. The enormous bespoke home features a gaming arcade, a full basketball court, high-tech gym, and a gorgeous swimming pool complete with gazebos and a jacuzzi. White also has a famous love for cars and owns a dizzying collection of them. There's no current count available online, but the high-end vehicles include a Ferrari Testarossa, Chevrolet Camaro, 1971 Plymouth Barracuda, Cadillac Escalade, and so many more. In the midst of all these classics and muscle cars and luxury vehicles, White has even kept his first car for sentimental value, a humble yellow Datsun B210. White also has a soft spot for motorcycles, especially Harley-Davidson models, but he also has at least one Ducati bike in his collection. In his free time, Dana White loves to play games. Obviously, he spends time in the arcade in his house playing Daytona and Street Fighter, but he also loves board games. Aside from that, he hits the weights every morning in his private gym and likes to keep fit as much as possible. Though White can be a controversial figure, especially when the topic of fighter pay comes up, there are a few charitable acts of his that are worth mentioning here. White has been known to contribute monetarily to good causes, such as paying for the $50,000 liver transplant of a friend's daughter, donating $100,000 to his former high school for a major athletic renovation, and even contributing reward money to catching animal abusers and bringing them to justice. After the 2017 shooting in Las Vegas, White donated $1 million to funds for the victims, and he matched Khabib Nurmagomedov's $100,000 donation to Dustin Poirier's charity, the Good Fight Foundation, after their 2019 bout.
But at the end of the day, Khabib is a great guy, you know, very respectful guy, and any interaction I've ever had with him has been, obviously Dustin's the nicest kid in the world, so it's always cool when you see these guys respect each other like they did, and for him to switch shirts and then take his stuff and donate it to charity is it's pretty awesome. And I'll tell you what, no, I'm thinking about it, I'll match whatever Khabib does.
Admittedly, Dana White can be a tough figure to talk about, let alone praise, especially in a time when fighter pay is such a contentious issue. On the one hand, without him, it's likely that these fighters would not have nearly the same star power and possibilities as they have with him at the helm of the UFC. But on the other hand, he has made much more than a small fortune, while many of the fighters he promotes make very little, despite putting their safety at risk for our entertainment. Love him, hate him, or tolerate him, Dana White is largely responsible for taking a small, down-and-out organization and turning it into a multi-billion-dollar industry, as well as popularizing the sport of MMA for the world to enjoy. His business sense and instincts have brought the UFC to where it is today, and history will likely remember him as the man who brought the love of mixed martial arts to the masses. And maybe that's worth every million in his bank account. What do you think about Dana White? Comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching the Ultimate Fighting Network.